Okay, we just started the recording, so Tiffany, if you want to kick us off.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, everyone. I know that we had a good turnout yesterday in person at 210. We're doing a virtual today and then another one tomorrow to learn about the benefits that we have for 2026. Our benefits will go into effect in January, and we have Scott Clemens from the Clemens Company here to talk to us today about the benefits. There weren't any huge changes, but we want him to go through. And then if you have any questions, you're certainly welcome to ask at any time. Scott?
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. So, folks, it's good to see all of you. As you know, we're at open enrollment. That's obvious, but I mention that because I want to make sure that you guys remember some of the rules around open enrollment. That we're going to be giving you an opportunity to make any new elections. So we're going to take time to go through all the choices. But please keep in mind this is the only time during the year that you have an opportunity to come onto the plan or come off of the plan, add dependents, anything like that. There are some exceptions to that. So if you have a marriage, a divorce, birth of a child, or possibly a job change for somebody in the family that affects their rights to benefits, those are exceptions where you can make changes during the middle of the year. Otherwise, this is the only time. So as Tiffany mentioned, there are no major changes in your plan. Remember last year we stayed with Florida Blue, but moved to the Florida Insurance Trust because they bring in significant advantages to the offerings that they provide to us. What you're going to find is the bad news is there was an increase in the premium. The good news for all of you guys is the agency has decided to absorb almost all of that. You are going to see some minor changes and increases in your premiums, but it's not a significant change, and the plans are all going to remain the same. On the screen in front of us right now, you're seeing just a reminder that we will continue to enroll through Employee Navigator. A lot of you you know how to use the technology. You go back in. Hopefully, you still have your username and password. There are some instructions on there if you need to reset your password. But we hope all of you can go in and make those changes when you want. If you need help, Joe Robleski, who has been working with us for a long time, has been a great partner for us, will be there for individual meetings, I think beginning tomorrow and Thursday. I believe that's right. And he can help you with your enroll and getting on Employee Navigator and making any changes that you would like to make. So in front of you, we have the plans. Let's go ahead and start talking about the health plans. And once again, the plans are not changing. The first two plans that we see right here are the lower cost plans. And the one on the left, I want to emphasize to you that that is an HMO. So you'll see there it refers to Blue Care. Anywhere you see that, it means it's an HMO. So I want to emphasize the main difference there. Remember that in an HMO, there are no out-of-network benefits. So if you go to a doctor or some other clinic or something that's not part of the PPO network, you're not covered at all. There are exceptions to that. So if you're, heaven forbid, you have some major emergency and you're taken to a hospital or a doctor in an emergency, then you're going to be fine. Otherwise, any planned care will not be covered. The other thing to be aware of is the network is different than the Blue Options network. Blue Options covers probably 95% of all the doctors. That's not the case with Blue Care. It's still a good network, but it's not as big as the Blue Options network. So as you're making your decision, I encourage you to go on the website. You may remember that that's bcbsfl.com, and you want to hit Blue Care, and you can look for providers and see who the doctors are. So in this plan, the one little bit of a negative being an HMO, it is a little bit smaller network. But the advantage is you only have a $500 deductible. When it says NA for by family, that means there's no cap on the number of people in the family who have to meet that deductible. The maximum out of pocket is a little higher too. It's $8,700. The other thing though is it's a 50% co-insurance. So remember, if you're having care that requires you to pay the co-insurance, you're going to be reaching that maximum faster. Your out of pocket's going to go up faster. The good news in all of these plans except the HSA plan is you have doctor copays. And when you have them in these plans, you're able to avoid the deductible and avoid that co-insurance. So in this plan, it's a $35 copay for primary care, $85 for a specialist. You'll see that urgent care is $85 as well. Emergency room, you'll see though you're having to meet the deductible and pay 50% co-insurance. So that's going to hit you really hard if you've not met your deductible. So, the moral of the story is stay in urgent care whenever possible. Right below that, there's an item there about preventative care, and it's both preventative and mental health services. And most importantly, you'll see it says no charge. So you'll remember for many years, we've had this preventative visit provision, which allows you to get an annual physical at no cost to you whatsoever. So you can go to a primary care doctor, ladies, you can go to an OBGYN, and any services they would provide to you based on your age, there's no cost for that. I really encourage you guys to take full advantage of that. We see over and over again that people that go get annual physicals on a regular basis are the ones that are catching conditions early, so you can treat more effectively and less invasively. Right below that, you're going to see a reference to outpatient surgery. So that's where you're going to have to meet deductible and co-insurance. I'm sorry, let me back up a second. I missed something I wanted to emphasize. I talked about the preventative part in that line above, but I also want to talk about the mental health. Florida Blue has made just a major decision to remove any financial barrier to you accessing mental health services. So whether you're getting outpatient care or inpatient care, there's no charge whatsoever, just so long as you stay within the network of doctors. So again, let me go back to outpatient surgery. You'll see it's deductible and co-insurance, as is hospitalization. For labs, there's no charge, but you have to go to Quest for it to be free to you. And then other tests are going to be deductible and co-insurance. Physician services are deductible and co-insurance. And then for prescriptions, you may remember last year when we made this change, this is one of the big advantages of these FIT plans. They're providing a more comprehensive prescription plan, a much more generous plan. So in this first plan, for a 30-day supply, it's $10 for generic medications, $50 for preferred name brand drugs, and $80 for non-preferred name brand drugs. And specialty would be 20%. The other thing I want to remind you of is another big advantage of FIT is they have condition care medications, which is a very broad list. Those are preventative medications. They would be could be statins, blood pressure medications, some diabetic medications. But it's a very large list, and most of those are going to be free. In some cases, those condition cares are going to have a small copay you'd have to pay with them, but most of them are free. That's a really, really nice benefit they're offering there. So let me pause before we move on, see if there are any questions for the Blue Care Plan. You guys can do that through chat, or you can just kind of turn your mic on and ask a question. Okay, let's move on to the next plan. So all of the remaining plans that we're going to talk about are Blue Options plans. So again, that's the larger network, and it allows you to go in network or out of network and still get benefits. In the HSA plan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a summary of this, and then ask you if you have more interest in an HSA to reach back to me, and I'll provide you more detail on these plans. So in an HSA type plan, I encourage everybody to think of this as a two-part plan. It is the health policy that you see in front of you, but you also have attached to that a tax advantage account that allows you to put money in from payroll deduction on a pre-tax basis. The reason you would want to do that is this plan is not cheaper than the first one on the left, but it's much cheaper than the other plans, and by saving that money, you can put more money into that health savings account. And whatever money you put in there, you can use to pay for any expenses that you incur underneath the deductible. And what you don't use, you keep. It's an account that, even though it's sponsored and set up by CAC, it's your money, it's your account, and you'd get a debit card that would go along with that. So what you see there is, when you're in network, for an individual, it's a $2,500 deductible. For a family, it's a collective $5,000 deductible. So if you have 4 people in the plan and one person reaches $4,000 in expense and somebody reaches $1,000, then there's no more deductible for anybody else in the plan. Once you've met the deductible, you're paying 10% co-insurance. And then for an individual, the maximum out of pocket is $5,000. For the family, the maximum is $10,000, but again, that is a collective maximum out of pocket for the whole family. The other thing, on the co-insurance, I do want you to know, let me go back to the practicalities of how you would use this. So, as I mentioned with the account, with the HSA account, you're going to have a checkbook like any other account, but you're also going to get a debit card. And you're having money going into that debit card. When you receive services, if you're just an individual, you're going to go and you're going to, suppose you go to the doctor's office and they charge you $150. You're probably going to get a significant discount from Florida Blue. So it may be $100. You swipe your debit card and you've taken care of that cost. The same would be true for if you have prescriptions in that visit. So this is designed to get you to sort of think about how you're using your limited healthcare dollars and be more frugal and smart about how you do that. But I do want you to also notice that even though there's a lower deductible in the Blue Care plan over on the left, the maximum out of pocket, your worst case scenario as an individual in the HSA plan is much lower. It's only $5,000. And again, what you don't spend, you get to keep in there. There's no doctor copays, no prescription copays until you have met the deductible. For me, I was in a plan like this. I thought it was great. Fortunately, I'm pretty healthy, and it worked very well for me. So I encourage you guys to think more about it. If you have interest in learning more, let Tiffany know, or you can reach directly out to me. Our contact information at the Clemens Company is on the last page of this presentation, which has been emailed to you. One thing I do want to make you aware of: this is not practical for you to be in this plan if you have spousal coverage that provides doctor copays and that kind of thing, or if you're on Medicaid or Medicare. You would not want to be in this plan. Okay, let me see if there are any questions. And if not, let's move on to the next page. So once again, these two plans are, again, they're Blue Options plans. This plan on the left is very interesting because it's zero deductible. you'll see that it's 20% coinsurance, but as you're going to find out, there are really no situations where you're going to use coinsurance, or very rare circumstances. It is still a higher maximum out of pocket of $8,700, but you're going to see that the amount that it's going to be harder for you to actually reach that maximum out of pocket, because every service you're getting, you can know exactly what you're going to pay for before that service occurs. Like whether it's outpatient surgery, an MRI, a doctor visit, you're going to know ahead of time to the penny what you're going to pay. So for primary care visits, it's $45. For specialists, it's an $85 visit. Urgent care, $125. You on down, you see all of those. You see that preventative still and mental health are free. But look at the outpatient surgery. You see two numbers. The first number is only $800, and that tells you that if you go to an ASC, that's ambulatory surgical center, a freestanding surgery center, like Panama City Surgery Center, you're only paying $800. And if you drop down below where it says physician services, for an ASC, it's $85 for the physician. So you would have a surgeon, then you're going to have an anesthesiologist. So you're at 160, 170 plus the 800, so $970 would be everything you would pay for an outpatient surgery. That's a really, really low number. This is a very nice benefit for you. Again, the maximum is high, but because of that, these lower benefit costs for each event, you're less likely to hit that maximum. For hospitalization, it's $1,500 per day, but they're going to cap that at 4 days in case you're there 10 days. It's never going to be more than $6,000. Labs, again, no charge, but you can see it's a $500 copay for advanced tests. Physician services, when you're outside of the surgical center, is going to be $100. And then you're going to see the prescription plan is just like in the first plan that I described. 10 for generic, 50 for preferred name brand, and 80 for non-preferred name brand drugs. Plus you get the condition care medications, most of which are free. Now the last plan is the most generous plan, and of course that means it's going to have a higher premium. So it's $1,000 deductible, 20% coinsurance, only a $3,500 maximum out of pocket. You'll see the copays for going to doctor's office visits are much lower, as is the urgent care and even the emergency room amounts. In this case, for outpatient surgery, it's even lower. It's only $150 if you're going to an ambulatory surgical center. And for hospitalization, however, you're meeting deductible and paying coinsurance. And again, the prescriptions are going to be the same. And to be clear, all of the plans allow you to get preventative visit annual physical for free. And 3 of the plans allow you to get the mental health services for free, but the HSA plan, you would have to be paying coinsurance for that. Deductible and coinsurance, excuse me. Okay, again, let me pause and see if there are any questions on the health plans. And here, Michelle, if you'll go back a little bit to the costs. So you can see, folks, these are expressed differently than last year. These are based on bi-monthly payments, but in general, they are just a little bit higher than what you've had in the past.
Scott, if I can interrupt for just a minute, I just
Sure.
want to remind all of our employees that we do have 26 pay periods in the year, but we only take premiums out of 24 pay periods. So there's 2 months of the year that we have 3 pay periods. When that happens, we don't take the premiums on that 3rd paycheck of the month. We only take it on the first paycheck and the second paycheck. So I know that last month in October, we had 3 paydays. Your last payday, we didn't take those premium benefits, and that's on purpose. So I just want to remind you of that, so there's no confusion.
And you'll also notice there the what you would be paying for dental insurance in both the low plan and the high plan, and the vision. I do want you guys to, because you may not, those of you who've been working with CAC for a while, you may not remember this. If you're with another employer, it's very rare to have it where the dental, for at least one of the choices for employee-only coverage, is actually free to you, the vision and the dental. So that's another thing that CAC is doing that is very generous compared to other providers, other employers. This page, I just want to take a moment to emphasize something to you here. This is asking you to go ahead and register with Florida Blue if you have not already, and I recommend doing that on the app. The reason you would want to do it is, number one, when you do that, the app becomes your card. There's an image of your card on there, and by contract, doctors are required to let that be verification of coverage. So if you leave your card at home and your wallet somewhere, but you have your phone, you're fine. The other thing is, you all, I think, know what EOB is, an explanation of benefits. This would be providing that to you in real time all the time. So when I had to have outpatient surgery about 1.5 2 years ago, and I got this really large bill from an anesthesiologist, all I had to do was look on the app and find that the allowable was much lower than what the doctor was trying to charge me, and that I had already met part of the deductible, so I really had to pay much less. And I want to stress that for all of you, please, when you get bills like that from the doctor's office, always look at your EOB and pay what it's telling you to pay as opposed to what the doctor is charging you. So Michelle, if you will go to the next page, please. This is just, okay, here's the condition care. I've already talked a little bit about that. It's telling you that most of those preventative medications are free. Some would have a small copay with them. Amazon, you'll see, is the service that provides mail order medication. If you have not signed up for that, it really is pretty nice. I mean, you'll need to provide your prescription from your doctor to them and all of your address and all that kind of background information, but you only have to do that once, and then all those medications are going to show up every 90 days right to your doorstep. I'm not going to spend time on this. In each of these pages, this whole packet has been emailed to you, and on it, it provides a little more detail about how the Blue Care Plan works and how the Blue Options Plan works. This screen is about Teladoc. It should be very familiar to all of you. You've had Teladoc for a while. Remember that the FIT plan for Teladoc is kind of Teladoc on steroids. It's souped up. So I'm going to leave the HSA plan out for a minute. But for the other 3 plans, when you have Teladoc, not only are you going to have primary care visits, remember, all of you need to register ahead of time if you haven't. So you register, and once they have you in the system, you can get care anytime you want through to primary care. Okay, and they're gonna respond even if it's midnight on a Saturday night. But in the FIT plans, it also allows mental health services and dermatology services, no cost to you. There's no copay when you're getting that consultation. That is completely free to you. That is a great, great service, one of the great advantages of FIT. Now, in the past, one of the problems with folks who are on the HSA plan is there's a really strange part of the law. HSAs are meant to not have any first dollar coverage, and Teladoc was interpreted to violate that rule. So unfortunately, you had to meet your deductible before you got a benefit through Teladoc if you were in the HSA plan. One of the provisions of the, whatever you call it, the big beautiful bill, was they changed that. So now if you're in an HSA plan, you can get primary care visits that are free. Unfortunately, the other parts that FIT provides, dermatology and mental health, would not be free to you. Just for those people who are in the HSA plans. Okay, so that's a bit of good news on Teladoc. Now let's start talking about the other benefits. Your dental plan is not changing. It is going up a little bit, but unless you're in the low plan for employee only coverage, in which case it's going to be free. So in your plans, to summarize, because you guys are pretty accustomed to these plans, you have 3 categories of services in general in your dental plan. Preventative, just checkups, cleanings, that kind of thing. That's going to be free to you. You pay nothing for that. For basic, that is fillings, simple extractions, those kind of things. That is going to be where it's you're meeting in the low plan a $100 deductible, in the high plan a $50 annual deductible, and then you would be paying 20% in the low plan, and then in the high plan you would be paying 90%. Notice if you go out of network, those amounts go up. You'd be paying more. For the other category, it is major. That's like crowns and bridges. That's where you're going to be meeting that annual deductible, and the plan's going to pay 50% in the low plan, and then it's going to be 60% in the high plan. The other big difference between the two plans is in the low plan, it's a $1,000 maximum. In the high plan, it's a $1,500 maximum. And you guys know that if you're going out of network, you're going to have a penalty. Not only is the co-insurance going to be different, but you're going to likely to have balance billing, where the doctor wants to charge the difference between what they normally pay in contract and what the doctor's been paid and what the doctor's accustomed to getting. So they may come after you for that difference. So try your best to stay in network. Guardian has a provision that is very nice. That is a rollover, it's a rewards program. As you know, your maximum is $1,000 in the low plan, $1,500 in the high plan. The rewards plan says that if you spend so in the low plan, if you spend less than $500 and you've at least gone to get one of your preventative visits, then as much as $250 can roll over, or $350 if you're getting all of your care in network. So that rolls over so that next year you may potentially have $1,350 in maximum as opposed to $1,000. It can roll over more than once. So you could have up to like $1,800 in maximum if you have a few good years. So when you hit that bad year, you might have $1,800 there to pay for something like a crown. It's a very, very nice feature. Okay, Michelle, let's go to the vision. Again, your vision plan is staying the same. For exams, it's a $10 copay. You guys remember that, Guardian has a good network, but the eye doctors and even dentists to some extent are not like medical doctors. They're in medical world, they're almost all in the network. That's not really the case in dental, and particularly with vision. So you want to look hard at who's in the network and try your best to stay in network. If so, it's a $10 for copay for exams. And it's $25 for materials, either contacts or glasses, but not both. You'd have to choose. And I think you all know that that's not going to cover really nice features, and if you get transition lenses or really fancy frames, it's going to be more than that that maximum amount of $150, and you would be paying the difference. Okay, now for life insurance, This is another thing that is a bit unusual that CAC is doing for you. A lot of companies are providing life insurance, but not many are doing $50,000. So each of you, at no cost to you whatsoever, you get $50,000 worth of life insurance, and it has AD&D, so that means in the unfortunate event you died as a result of an accident, it would double. And you have the opportunity to get additional life insurance. Joe can talk to you about that through Colonial. The other thing that is really the most unusual and very generous thing that CAC is doing for you is providing both short-term and long-term disability at no cost to you whatsoever. So if you have an accident or an illness that leaves you unable to work, right away you would get short-term benefits, which would be 60% of your weekly income, and that would last for 6 months. If you're still unable to work from that point forward, long-term disability would kick in, which would be 60% of your monthly salary, and that could go all the way until your Social Security retirement age. This is a rather expensive benefit, and therefore it's not common for people to do it. They're being very generous providing this to you. You do have, for a long time, even before we had the free mental health visits through Florida Blue, CAC was already doing a lot to help remove any barriers for you to be able to access any mental health care. So you actually have two employee assistance programs. One is through Guardian, and in that program, for any particular event or situation, it could be, let's imagine it might be a marital issue, you would be able to get 3 consultations. And if something came up 3 months later, and it could be even a financial issue or a conflict at work, you could have 3 additional appointments for that. Okay, so this is very, very generous. And I'm going to let Tiffany talk about, you have an additional supplemental EAP, which is locally based. So Tiffany, you want to share a little more information about that?
Sure. So we do have a local licensed clinical social worker who will see our employees free of charge to you. It's Brandy Heyman, and she has an office in Panama City Beach. And she has agreed to help out any of our employees that just need someone to overcome something in the short term, right? So she will give 6 visits to each of you each year. But if you're going through something really tough and she feels like you need another visit or 2, she's happy to provide that. And I just want you to know that it is 100% confidential. So Brandy does assign each of her clients a client number, kind of like we do in Collaborate. And when she bills us, she does send us a bill with her client number, but we don't know the name of the employee. So just be assured that your identity is protected. We don't know who you are, only Brandy does, and she won't share that information. But I do want to go one step further to say that if you do need general mental health, or if you need assistance longer than what the Guardian EAP or what Brandy can provide, just remember that we do have that free mental health through our health insurance. And you can do it through Teladoc, or you could even find someone local. And so we are trying to do everything that we can to make sure that you have the support needed. We understand that you need an outlet to be able to talk to someone. And with our strict confidentiality rules, you can't necessarily lean on friends and family for that. So we encourage you to take care of yourself emotionally and mentally and seek the assistance in order to stay on the top of your game and be the best you that you can be.
Thank you, Tiffany. So Guardian does, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Guardian does provide some additional services, like some additional legal services that you would have there as well. And now I am going to turn it over to Joe. I think most of you already know Joe Robleski. Like I said, he has been a great partner for us with providing, not only is he hosting the 125 plan, which allows you to pre-tax most everything, but he's providing these other benefits to you at a fairly low cost and easy way where you can do this through payroll deduction. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Scott. If you look at the screen, the first one Scott went over, it shows the disability. Again, that's paid for by your employer, the short-term and long-term. So I'm going to pick up at the term life insurance. What Scott said about the $50,000 is very generous. It's outstanding that an employer would do that. But if you need more, they give you options. You can do term life or whole life. The term life is a price that is locked in for a certain term. And the options are 10 years, 15 years, 20, or 30. So in a lot of cases, people don't need insurance the rest of their life. It's just during the raising of your children, your family, or if you have a mortgage or something like that, that hopefully disappears at some point. The whole life is more permanent. So it's something where the price will never change. And eventually, if you get it early enough, it's one of those products that will be paid for where you can stop paying on it when you get to the age of 70. So if you pick it up later in life, then you have to continue to pay it a little bit longer. But that's a nice option. So I could talk a long time on life insurance. I keep things real simple. I've been doing this a very long time. If it's not affordable, it's not practical. So I always tell people to do what's practical and what's affordable because everyone's situation here could be a little bit different. I myself, as an example, I always got enough insurance where I could pay off the house, have kids, covered for their trade school or college. But as I aged and I'm an empty nester now, I didn't need as much coverage. So it's nice that they do open enrollment once a year because you can add coverage, remove coverage, or just leave it like it is. And I can help you navigate through that. There's no perfect protected, not necessarily make them rich and wealthy, but just so they have something in the event of a untimely loss. So any questions on the first item, the life insurance? Okay, I'll keep rolling. The next one looks like a hospital indemnity. That one's real simple. It gives you money if you're admitted into a hospital and stay the night. There's different options there. There's like a low plan, high plan on the dental Scott talked about. We could do the same thing here. That's ideal for people knowing they have procedures coming up, or say you want to expand your family, and maternity would be one of those things you look at. You can get this policy to where once you're out of work, you stay the day in the hospital, you can get a lump sum payout. The other thing there is it even covers outpatient procedures. So depending on how invasive the procedure is, would dictate how much money you get. The more invasive, the more money it will pay out. So it's a nice feature because you do have deductibles and copays. No matter how good Scott's medical insurance is, there's always going to be a situation where you have to dip in your own pocket, and this would protect you in the event of a hospital stay. After the hospital, it looks like we have accident insurance. With this group, we don't write a lot of it here because this is more designed for like construction, plumbing, heating, cooling, more dangerous occupations. But I see people getting this if they have to do a lot of travels, to and from different appointments. With these policies, you can cover yourself, you can cover your spouse, you and the children or family. So I had a gal there, I guess it was yesterday, asked about getting her husband covered because he does construction. So that's not a problem. We can cover him even though he's not an employee with CAC. Another example is if you have children playing sports, this is a really big deal. It's been my experience. Again, my kids are grown, but my boy played football, basketball. My daughter did cheerleading. And it's not if they get hurt, it's when they get hurt. So this would help pay off some of those medical bills, and is very reasonably cost. The next one after the accident is cancer insurance. Now, this one I could talk about all day because I get lots of calls. The cancer policy is going to give you money for lots of things: hospital confinement, lodging, radiation, chemotherapy, skilled nursing, experimental drug treatment, home health care, hospice, companion transportation. I could go on and on. Cancer is a very expensive disease. And even though you have the best insurance, the health insurance, you're going to have to do some traveling. You're going to have to do different things you don't really, think about. And this is going to help you, with the financial devastation that comes with that, expensive disease. So Scott mentioned something that I always like to echo because it's very important. With your medical, you get the free exam once a year. So why not take advantage of that? And I've seen it time and time again where someone can catch it early in stage 1 as opposed to stage 3 or 4. It's free. You might as well get your blood work done, check your white blood cells, your red blood cells. I always call it this way: find out if there's any squigglies in there that don't belong there. So get your testing done, and with that, you get a reward. Is called either depending on the level you have, you get money back just by doing that. They just need 4 pieces of information. You can do it online, or you could do it over the phone, or you could do it by fax. There's so many different options, and you just have to tell them who your doctor is, the test you had done, and the date, and of course either your policy number through Colonial or Social Security. So it's real simple. So we have the ability to give you that extra money, and the cost, literally I've done many calculations over the years, it reduces your cost by 1/3 just by doing your exam. So that's kind of a simple approach to eliminate some of the cost. The last one, any questions till I get done here? I'm going to keep rolling. The last one's critical illness. This one is like a living life insurance. It covers the heart attacks and strokes. And there's other things: end-stage renal failure, coma, blindness, occupational diseases. If someone were to contact that, that's for the medical field. And there's even bypass coverage. So say you sign up for a policy in a year or 2 from now, you had that heart attack or stroke, you sign up for a $10,000, $20,000 policy, you fill out that claim form, and they'll deposit the money in the bank or mail you a check in the mail. So that's still a number 1 killer, is heart attacks and strokes. So, there's a need for that too. And I'm not a doctor, but I come from a medical background. My sister's a pediatrician. We've had many conversations over the years. If there's a family history, just like when you go to the doctor, they don't ask your family history just to be nosy. They just keep closer tabs on you to see if they need a test for different things. So that's one of the things you need to take a look at. So, I never really talked about the cancer and the heart attack and stroke much. People when they're younger, but always people when they're older. Now I practically bring it up everywhere I go because it seems like these things happen earlier and earlier in life. Even little babies get cancer. It's crazy. But if there's a family history, please take a look at that. And I'll leave it with this. I always tell people do what's affordable and practical, because once you get the medical, the dental, and vision, if you didn't do the free ones, things start to add up. So do what makes sense for your family and do what makes sense for your checkbook. You still want to be able to put food on the table and enjoy life. But these products here are here for a reason. That's just because we're trying to get you involved in buying them. It's going to help you in time of need. So with that, I want to thank you for being with us. And if you got any questions, I'll stay on the line.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
So guys, that's most everything we have. Michelle and Tiffany, let me see if you want to talk a little bit about deadlines, when everybody needs to be completing their enrollments.
Sure. So I sent out an email that has a link where everyone
I
can.
think you're still on mute, Tiffany.
Oh. I'm not on mute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Still not hearing you.
Yes, I can hear you, Tiffany.
Okay. All right, good. I did send out a link where people can sign up to meet with Joe in person, or you can meet with him via phone. He will be happy to help you. We do have it where you can go in and you can make your selections yourself if you would like to. But if you have Colonial, you will need Joe's assistance. Or if you don't have Colonial and you would like to add Colonial, you would need Joe's assistance. It's a quick meeting. He is very helpful and not pushy at all. And he's really happy to assist. We have some openings tomorrow in Chipley, and then we have some openings on Thursday at 2:10. All of the openings on Friday have been selected, so we only have Wednesday and Thursday available now. So I encourage you to go on and sign up for a time to meet with Joe, whether it's in person or via phone. And then also, I do want to just let you guys know about one correction in the guide that I sent out yesterday. There was one of the premiums that was incorrect on there. There was a number that got transposed, and so there was a typo. If you're looking at the HMO plan for the employee and children, on the original benefits guide, it shows that it was somewhere around $785 a month. That is incorrect. It's $335 per month, I believe, or is it per payday? It might be per payday.
Per payment.
Okay, so just want to let you know that that has been updated. So everything in Employee Navigator is correct, and I can send out a new benefit guide to each of you. I've reviewed all the questions that were sent to me via email, and I have responded individually to anyone that had any questions. Are there any questions for Michelle, Joe, or Scott before we end today's meeting? I'm not seeing any in the chat, but listen, you guys have their contact information and you can reach out. You can also reach out to me. Just as a reminder, the open enrollment ends on Friday, but the benefits do not go into effect until January 1 of 2026. So just keep that in mind. And if there's nothing else, we will just end today's meeting. And I appreciate every one of you attending today. Reach out if you have any questions. Oh, there is one question. Okay. Lauren, I did send you an email. So
Thanks, you guys. You guys have a good evening.
There you go. All right. Y'all take care.
Hello? Hey, Papa.